Imagine barreling down a steep hill on a bicycle, the wind whipping past, your heart pounding with both fear and excitement. Now picture that same sensation but inside a car. Welcome to the 1950s, a time when driving was as exhilarating as it was perilous. Cars from this era, with their striking designs and powerful engines, were notorious for their lack of safety features. Yet, this very danger added to the thrill of the ride. Let's explore this captivating yet hazardous elements that defined 1950s automobiles and made them unforgettable. In the 1950s, cars boasted designs that caught the eye but often fell short on safety standards. A prime example is the A-pillars, the vertical supports on either side of the windshield. These were crucial for holding up the car's roof, yet they were typically thin and made of sheet metal, offering very little protection in the event of a crash. During rollover accidents, these weak A-pillars could easily collapse under the vehicle's weight, jeopardizing the roof's structure. This collapse risk was particularly dangerous for occupants, especially since seatbelts were not widely available or used at the time. The era's stylish wraparound windshields, while visually stunning, only exacerbated this problem by relying heavily on these flimsy A-pillars, further compromising the safety of the passengers. A significant safety feature missing from many 1950s cars was the collapsible steering column. Although this innovation was conceived in the 1930s, it wasn't commonly implemented until much later. The collapsible steering column is designed to absorb impact energy during a frontal collision, preventing the steering column from piercing into the passenger area and posing a grave risk to the driver. Despite its early invention, it wasn't until 1967 that major automobiles like General Motors began installing collapsible steering columns into their vehicles. And as a result, cars from the 1950s were equipped with rigid steering columns, significantly increasing the danger to drivers in the event of a crash. Steering wheel designs in the 1950s were far less concerned with safety than today. A notable hazard was the steering wheel hub, particularly in models like Chevys, which featured a bullet nose cap at the center of their steering wheels. In a collision, these hard protruding caps could cause severe injuries to the driver's head or chest. Unlike modern steering wheels that included padded or collapsible centers to reduce injury risk, the 1950s designs did not incorporate such features, making even low-speed collisions potentially fatal. Now, in the 1950s, car dashboards were starkly different than the cushioned, safety-conscious designs that we see today. These dashboards were typically made from hard metal or painted surfaces with little to no padding. This lack of soft material meant that there was nothing to absorb the impact in the event of a collision. If an accident occurred, occupants could suffer severe injuries, including skull fractures, due to the rigid nature of the dashboard materials. Additionally, 1950s dashboards often featured protruding knobs, switches, or metal components, further increasing the risk of injury. Now, while these elements were essential for vehicle control, they became dangerous projectiles during a sudden deceleration or impact, and the dashboards of the 1950s lacked the safety features and impact-absorbing materials which are found in modern vehicles, making them a significant hazard in accidents. Hood ornaments in the 1950s were iconic, reflecting the era's love for jet-age styling and sleek designs. However, these decorative pieces posed a serious safety risk, especially to pedestrians. Many hood ornaments at the time featured sharp edges or pointed designs, which could cause severe injury in the event of a collision. Positioned at the front of the vehicle, often at the height that aligned with the pedestrian's body, these ornaments could inflict significant harm, including cuts and lacerations right upon impact. While they symbolized style and luxury, hood ornaments also highlighted the safety challenges of the era's automotive design. Today, hood ornaments are less common and, when present, are designed with rounder, safer shapes to minimize the risk of injury in pedestrian accidents. Door latches were a critical yet often overlooked aspect of automobile safety in the 1950s. Unlike modern vehicles equipped with advanced safety features, the door latches of 1950s cars were basic and lacked protective measures. These latches could either jam shut or pop open during a crash, depending on the circumstances. If the vehicle structure deformed during a collision, the door latches might jam, trapping the occupants inside. Conversely, in severe impacts, the latches might fail, causing the doors to fly wide open and potentially ejecting occupants from the vehicle. Furthermore, the design of door handles and window cranks in the 1950s often led to sharp edges or protruding elements that could cause serious injuries in a crash. The combination of basic door latches and vehicle structures that could buckle or collapse under impact conditions made surviving a crash in the 1950s car a matter of luck and human durability. Front bench seats were a staple in the 1950s, cars offering spacious seating but lacking modern safety features. Unlike today's seats, which come equipped with integrated seat belts designed to restrain occupants during a collision, 1950s bench seats were often secured with just a few bolts. This minimal attachment meant that in the event of a crash, the seats did very little to prevent occupants from being thrown around in the cabin. Without seat belts, passengers risked being flung forward, sideways, or even out of the vehicle, leading to severe head injuries, fractures, and internal trauma. The lack of proper seat restraints made the front bench seats a significant hazard, dramatically increasing the likeliness of injury due to an accident. The placement of the fuel doors on 1950s cars also posed safety risks, particularly during collisions. Typically located on the driver's side rear fender near the tail, this positioning made fuel spills more likely in side impact crashes. Such spills could lead to fires or explosions if the fuel contacted hot engine parts or sparks, complicating rescue efforts and making it dangerous for both occupants and emergency responders. In response to these concerns, some manufacturers relocated the fuel door behind the tailgate, as seen in the 1956 models. However, this new position, closer to the vehicle's rear, also increased the risk of fuel spills in rear-end collisions. Modern cars often place fuel doors in safer locations, such as near the vehicle's center or integrated into the rear bumper, to minimize these dangers and improve crash safety. The 1950s cars, while iconic and stylish, lacked many of the safety features we take for granted today, from flimsy A-pillars and rigid steering columns to hazardous dashboards, protruding horn ornaments, basic door latches, unsecured front bench seats, and poorly positioned fuel doors. These vehicles presented numerous dangers to their occupants and pedestrians. The advancements in automobile safety since then highlight the significant progress made to protect drivers and passengers. So what are your thoughts? Would you still drive a car from the 1950s? Share in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and see you on the next video.